Hello and welcome to the I Am Woman project, where every week we have deep, thought-provoking and interesting conversations with thought leaders, change instigators, rule breakers and creative minds who think differently, sparking creativity and inspiration. Our special guests on our show cover a variety of topics just for you, and they share their personal stories to inspire, motivate and empower you, our listener. The I Am Woman podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at www.catherineplano.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. Today we have Jill Lublin, a master publicity strategist, consultant and best-selling author. Jill consistently wows her audience worldwide with her entertaining and interactive keynotes, seminars and training programs on publicity, networking and influence marketing. Jill has shared her powerful networking and publicity strategies on the stages of Anthony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Richard Simmons and many more. Over the past 25 years, Jill has worked with ABC, NBC, CBS and other national and international media as a highly regarded publicity expert. She has been featured in the New York Times, Women's Day, Fortune Small Business, Entrepreneur and Inc. magazines. With 3 national best-selling books, Jill is acknowledged as the go-to person for building success through influence marketing, networking and publicity. She is also the producer and host of the TV show Messages of Hope, which inspires people to take positive action to improve their lives and create a better world. Let's get inspired by this amazing woman. Enjoy. So today we have with us Jill Lublin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So we were just actually saying how it's your Friday late afternoon and it's our Saturday morning here in Melbourne. So even though we are on the other end of the world.
Yes, and I love Melbourne. I just have to tell you, it's such a wonderful, wonderful town.
Yeah. So Jill, you were actually saying you're going to a meditation retreat, just so our listeners can sort of tap into the conversation we're having beforehand.
Yes, well, my spiritual life is also very important to me, just as my business life is. And I think balance is important. So I always take time to nurture that part of me. Let me just say that.
And how often do you do that, Jill?
Well, I make sure that I have some kind of spiritual, whether it's a retreat, a teacher, somebody I'm studying with, or just my own communing with nature, which I love and I find very rejuvenating, at least monthly.
That's gorgeous. And
then I meditate daily on the whole, but I'm talking about just more of a in-depth learning.
So when's your best time to meditate for you?
Usually I like it first when I wake up, really, setting the tone for the day and bringing in all my guides and angels and starting the day. So I tend to like that. And at night, I like to do what I'm grateful for. I like to mention and speak out loud 5 things I'm grateful for.
Oh, I love it. I do that, but I don't do it out loud. Can I ask you why you do it out loud?
Well, I think it's powerful. I like, if I can, I actually speak it to someone and I ask them to tell me the same. So you get a gratitude buddy, Catherine, and do it that way. Just give them a quick call and, it's 2 minutes each and that's it. It's just real simple. But I think speaking out loud, it gives it more of an energy versus just in my head. Now it's spoken out onto the universe.
So Jill, for our listeners, let's unpack Jill Lublin. What exactly do you do?
So my main focus and what I've been helping people with for more than 24 years is supporting publicity and getting their word out. I feel that I'm a messenger of messengers. So I love helping people get their word out, create visibility strategies, and that's usually centered around publicity. I also help people get book deals. So people might just have a great book idea inside them, and not a word has to be written, and I can frankly help them get a book deal. And for self-published authors, I go to the international book fairs in Frankfurt, Germany, and London, England, and help people get foreign rights deals for their books that they've already written. So it's both ways.
That's super amazing. So for our listeners, for those that are authors and have got books, they can actually make contact with you, and you can actually have their books land a deal in Europe somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, Europe, Asia, South America, it's selling all foreign rights. Yes. And then those of you who just have some book burning inside you, you know you need to write, talk to me about it. There's ways to get your book published and shown to publishers and authors. So, publishers and agents. So I help people do that too.
So, Jill, how does that work? So if you've got a book idea, do you get, obviously, somebody else write the book for the individual? Is that right?
Well, not always. Some people like to write their own book. I tend to be a believer in, have at least somebody help you get the book structured and written, because what I've noticed about too many people is, oh, I got a great book idea, and oh, I'm writing that book, and then their perfectionist tendencies take over, and somehow they never get the book done. And that's not unusual. Most people have something, I met one woman, she told me she's been working on her book for 10 years. To me, it's kind of like, just do what it takes to get the book out.
Yeah, I could relate to that. My first book took me 3.5 years because I was procrastinating and my stuff was coming up as I was writing it. And then I set myself a challenge where over Christmas I had a month to myself, and I wrote my second book in 3.5 weeks. So it was just a matter that I wanted to challenge myself, and I thought, if I can do it in 3.5 years, I think I can do it in 3.5 weeks, and I did. But that did take a lot of time and energy, and I had to be, basically I was locked up in a room for pretty much 3.5 weeks. So, Jill, you've got a book.
Yes, I do. It's a new book called Profit of Kindness, and I'm very excited. It's with a major publisher. It just came out, and I'm thrilled to tell you I've already been on our CBS TV in the States and Fox News. I'm going to be I already have been actually in Inc. magazine and Fortune Small Business and CEO magazines, all kinds of fabulous things. I feel very rewarded, and I practice what I preach in terms of publicity. I've been getting a lot of it. But Profit of Kindness is about how to use kindness in business and kindness in your life to really make a difference, and using it as a principle that's not just, airy-fairy, but really real-world ways to do it, simple things to do so that your life is more fulfilled. Because, interestingly enough, when I wrote Profit of Kindness, with a writer, I might add, and with some help, we really discovered how much kindness improves people's lives, makes them happier. Typically, they're richer, certainly usually more fulfilled. That's the power of kindness.
So, Jill, how do you bring kindness into, into your work? And give us some examples.
Sure. Well, in your work daily, one of the things in Profit of Kindness, most people are measuring for return on investment, and we measure for return on kindness, or ROCKS as we call it. And in Profit of Kindness, I actually give a 7-fold path for how to be kinder. And simple words like flexibility and compassion, generosity, patience, those are return on kindness principles that are actually fairly simple to do with some focus and intention. But one of the things, Catherine, I'm really big about, everybody talks about creating a random acts of kindness, and I really am on a roll and a campaign, I might add, for people to practice conscious acts of kindness.
Yeah. So when you're saying conscious, it's like basically living and breathing it daily.
Exactly.
Wow. So how do you do that? I mean, we're in this kind of environment, or we all live in this world that it's very fast paced. So how do you consciously, what's the trick for you where you are conscious, this is how I'm going to behave or act today?
Well, so a couple different things. One is, for me, it's now ingrained, and I am always looking for what's something I can do to contribute. How can I be kinder? If I get through a whole day and discovered I haven't done something that creates kindness or helps someone, then I will send an email. I will write a personal note. I will just do something that somehow connects. I will send a nice text honoring someone. Do something that honors in a nice way.
I like that. So that would be, so for example, for our listeners, if they get to the end of their day and they're coming up with 3 or 4 or 5 bits of, the things that they're grateful for the day, and if they connect that they haven't been kind in some way, shape or form, then you act on it immediately so that it becomes habitual that every day you do an act of kindness.
Yes, a conscious act of kindness. Look for ways that you could make a difference, large and small. And these do not have to be earth-shattering or expensive. I mean, it can be as simple as, please put on a smile and really look at someone as you're passing them in the street. Buy someone a cup of coffee or tea behind you. Simple little things that are generous. Open the door of a woman with a stroller and a baby, and or someone not, just because it's a nice thing to do and it feels good. Because kindness really elevates the heart and the spirit. It's amazing what it does.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember there was a time I was in New York, and I'm always holding the door for people. And this lady turned around and she said to me, "You're not from New York, are you?" And I said, "No." And so that made me realize that, and a few times people had made comments like that. And it just really made me realize that things are so fast there that people are into their own little world, which is interesting. So Jill, you actually said before, I am a messenger of messengers. What does that mean exactly?
So what that really looks like, I believe that everybody has a message. There are messages that are done through your work or through your personal conviction. And one of the things I love to do is help people get clear on their message. And actually this for me is a gift from God that I have that really has the ability to translate people's messages as I hear them, and then get that message out in a way that helps the messenger spread their message further. Because I believe that really most of us are messengers. And we do it through our work, what we love. Hopefully we get paid for it or not. Maybe it's volunteer work. Maybe it's your children. I mean, it could be any number of factors, but I do believe that we have messages in us, and then the question is how to get it out. And that's what I love to do, and make it simple and easy.
So maybe for our listeners, because we do have a lot of, lots of women actually from the age of 28 to 40 who are in business and who are entrepreneurs. So how would you work with them, for example, if they needed to be clear on their message or their brand? What would be some of the things that you actually would do with the individual?
Well, a couple things. One is, I'm always big on having a formula. And the formula that I like to use is, what's the problem out there? Like, we have to identify what's the problem out in the marketplace or out in the world, that you are somebody who solves that. But let's identify the problem first. Because what the media loves and wants is they need experts and they need sources and they need people who solve problems. That's always good, right?
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking at. How do you solve the problem out there?
I do. I actually I look at that I call it the pain points. So what are the pain points, or the biggest pain points for you to find a solution for your customers' pain points? Would that be similar?
It's a lot similar. Different question, but it's similar.
Oh, I love it. So, and the other thing that we were speaking about, Jill, is you've done some work with Anthony Robbins. Did you want to talk to us about that a little bit?
Oh, it was such a joy. I actually got picked to speak on his stage as one of 24 speakers. Now, you'll laugh because all of them were male except for me. So there I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and realized I should go buy a dress. Like, I wasn't going to come out in dress. I had a pantsuit and was ready to come out in that. And well, as soon as I found out I was the only woman, I went and got a really pretty feminine lacy skirt. It's adorable. I still wear it. And it was such an honor and a blessing to speak for that. If when you go to my website on jilllublin.com, it has a bit of a piece you can see from it. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff, and what a great blessing.
And how did that come about, Jill? Was that something that you approached, put your hand up for, or was it something that you were handpicked for?
Well, so this is the part, I wrote one of my books is on networking. I've written 4 books. Some people have children, and well, I have books and cats, 4 of each, I might add, 4 books and 4 cats. So one of my books is on networking, and one of the clients I've had in the past and have also done some speaking for was a wonderful man named Chet Holmes. Chet was a sales trainer, very famous in his own right, with many books. And he had done many programs with Tony. And Chet saw me speak when I spoke for J. Conrad Levinson, who is the grandfather of guerrilla marketing, has written all the guerrilla books with people like me. Wonderful man too. And he had used to put on these conferences. And so Chet saw me speak at one of them, and he then did the intro to Tony. And, that was it. I mean, it was that simple. He really brought me on, and I'll always be grateful to him for that.
That's awesome. So, Jill, with the benefits of hindsight, would you have done anything differently in your life or career?
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope the answer is yes. I mean, if somebody answers no, I probably don't believe them. But of course, I would do lots of things different, one of which I'd start my business with a lot more cash flow. And I'd probably use other people's money and really get some investments and or good bank loans. But I'd have more of a net under me. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm highly creative, and I just go, and it's worked, and I've been lucky. But I think from a sustainability standpoint and a lower stress point for sure, having some investment money under you or, bank loans certainly helps. And I think that would be great. And I also, along that same line, would have gotten more financially literate quicker. Now, I have gotten financially literate since I've started my business, but I didn't start that way. I didn't know what a P&L was. I didn't know how to do balance sheets. I'm still, to this day, a little bit gun shy around all the financials. I just know it continues to work, but I certainly would have gotten myself trained a lot quicker, and I think that would help.
Mike, I'm right there with you, Jill. I actually outsource that because that's just one of those things. I just work with my strengths, and that's just definitely not one of strengths when it comes to numbers and finance.
Oh, I agree, but it's still important to, like now I look at my P&L every month. I never used to. I understand my numbers and I at least look at them. So I think that's really important, and it's not a place I always was.
No, I look at them, but I just don't do them. But yeah,
exactly.
And I'd love to. I mean, I think it's this year. I've decided that I want to work more on my business than in my business and get a better understanding about everything in my business, from marketing to finance, which is something I've outsourced for years. But, I'm a bit of a generalist. I know a little bit about everything, but I don't know everything. And I think this year there's more curiosity about me, understand a little bit more about everything.
I think it's like a self-mastery, right? And I think it's important that we start to master ourself, our business, our numbers. It's like I like to go where scares me sometimes, and I'll hire coaches that I'm a little afraid of because I know that's usually my growing edge. And and a place where I want to grow.
That's interesting that you say that, because I have to say that it took me a long time to find a coach, because I like a coach to really challenge me, but I've never looked at it in the way that if I go for a coach that I'm scared of, for example. That's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Well, and I use that term, when I say scared, meaning my heart pounds a little bit when I talk to them. That's the challenge part. That's exactly what you're talking about. Because they're not just going to be a yes man or woman. It's like, yes, Jill, and what can you do to make this bigger, brighter, bigger,
Yeah, absolutely.
And right, not just like, oh, that's good idea. Yeah, right. It's like, well, if you try it this way, it might work better. And have you thought about this? And, that I don't think that's going to work. Sometimes the thing you have to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jill, during your whole adventure, what has been some of your greatest lessons that you have learned?
Well, a couple things. Writing books, I in a way, I wish I would have started earlier, like even quicker. Like now I have 4 books and I know what that feels like. And it's a wonderful feeling, and it's really enhanced my career. But I get to do speaking all around the world. That's why I've been to Melbourne, by the way. And I was speaking in Melbourne and all throughout many parts of the world. But I think that for me makes a big difference to get that kind of legacy going, frankly, as quick as you can. I think is a great thing. I probably would have done that sooner and made that happen quicker. I love that. Just also because I love it, and I think it's a unique and wonderful opportunity to get yourself in book form and CD form, whatever products. I just think it's a good thing to have your knowledge in a way that other people can really participate with. So that's a beautiful thing.
And you were saying before you actually worked with a writer. So maybe talk us through that for our listeners that have got a book in mind. And you were saying that you actually, with your last book, you actually sat down with a writer. How does that work? Like, talk us through that.
Well, finding a writer that captures your voice is important. Some people feel like they want a certain amount of responsibility. Like, for instance, all the interviews, I handled all the interviews because I like that. It's fun for me. And she handled much more of the research, digging in, which you'll see in Profit of Kindness. We have terrific research. That's because, my writer did that, and she's fabulous at that. So I'm more of an interviewer, person to person. She's a researcher, writer type. Perfect combination. So just make sure that, this person enhances the skills you have and then, frankly, has the skills you don't.
Okay, so you actually get somebody else to write your book. You collaborate, though, but you actually, the other person writes the book for you.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, I love that. So in business, we always ask women of inspiration, what would be some of those pain points for you in your business?
Well, cash flow is one of them. I wish I didn't have to say that, but it's true. I think as an entrepreneur, that's just kind of part of the game sometimes. Sometimes they're definitely better than others. Keeping my team, having really good people. Like right now, my main assistant is having a major problem with her husband, who's got a major health issue that, he will die from. It's very upsetting, and it's something that's impacting our relationship. So now what do I do, right? Somebody that's been loyal to me and fabulous, and she's really going through it. So when the people around you are having real issues, life issues, what do you do, right? Between being a compassionate person and running a business and having to handle things, it's a very delicate and interesting combination. And of course, one that requires constant management and constant talking through.
Yeah, that's so true. I've had that same experience where you've had somebody work with you for so many years, and then all of a sudden something happens, and of course that's life. But then I think it's you're probably never ever ready for it, are you? Because you think they're going to be with you forever.
Yes, or one hopes, right? Or you have a nice relationship, and the truth is, no, nothing does last forever necessarily, and just kind of keeping it as good as you can, as powerful as you can, and making sure, I think for me as a business person that I'm taken care of is important.
Absolutely. So,
and getting the right support. I just want to add that in because I think for anyone listening, make sure you have the right support. So, I told you about my meditation. Well, that's support for me. Nature is support for me. Exercise, self-care. They are in my calendar. But it took a while to get there. So, something else I'd say is, get these things in now. Self-care, whatever you like to do that's pleasurable, get them in your calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jill, what do you think is the number one reason why most individuals or businesses don't succeed?
I think money and team. Funny enough, the two very things we were just talking about. That team, goes away or something happens.
Yeah.
Or the cash flow or the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were actually talking about helping people translate their books into, foreign languages. What would be the benefit to do that? Obviously to expand your exposure globally. But what kind of impact does that have you experienced and has your customers experienced when they've actually translated their book into a foreign language?
Well, just recently I had a woman get a worldwide rights deal for her work. And, this is somebody who is doing some workshops and affected and impacted, a number of people's lives. But truthfully, there's always more, right? And so one thing I know about her book now and her opportunity now is that she will have the ability to impact far more people. And we love that. And have a legacy that, connects people internationally. And that's a good thing.
And how long does it normally take to translate a book into foreign languages, depending on, I guess, what country?
Yes, it really depends on the country. European countries tend to be a little faster, Asian countries a little slower. It's a bit of a cultural thing. It depends on the contract they negotiate with the author, but all of that is laid out and clear from the get-go, with an advance usually paid to an author. That's why it's so great if you're a self-published author. There's so much opportunity to get your book in foreign languages, and that's a beautiful thing. Because the truth is we need to have global impact. You and I are on the opposite sides of the world having this wonderful conversation. And that's the power of technology and today. And I just think the world is getting so small in the sense that we're all so connected and it is a global world. And we need to think and act globally.
And do you find that there are some countries that actually work better than others when it comes to translating your book?
Yes, on the whole. But, like everything, it's just the question becomes who's going to pick it up. And then from there, everything else is negotiated. But as far as I'm concerned, because when I go to the Frankfurt Book Fair and the London Book Fair, my goal is to hit every country for my clients. It doesn't, I don't discriminate per se, but there, at this point, there are many countries I have very good relationships with because they have particular agents that I talk to all the time and who represent big foreign houses in their country, publishing houses in their country.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing what you do. So, Jill, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell her to take it a little easier. Don't work so hard. I would tell her to get her self-care in. All these are related, if you notice. I would tell her to have fun and make sure to travel as much as possible. And probably not even go to college first, but just travel for a couple of years. I wish I would have done that, honestly, right after college versus, go right to work. And or, in between high school and college, just go right off and start traveling. I think there's a real power in that. And there's so much learning in other cultures and how the world works and different points of view. I just think it's so powerful. not to mention negotiation. I mean, most of the world, negotiates and does business differently. So it's good to see what everybody's doing and up to.
Absolutely. So, Jill, as you were growing up, who's been your greatest influence?
I would tell you it wasn't parental necessarily. I was kind of a bookworm, and I would tell you I did a lot of my learning from books and probably my teachers at school.
Okay. So what we do, Jill, as we start wrapping up the show, we always ask our woman of inspiration to pick one word that best describes her personal brand. What would be that one word that resonates with you, Jill?
Fun. I love fun. Fun, absolutely.
Yeah, you do have lots of fun, don't you?
Yes, I do, as much as possible.
Yeah. So, Jill, the other thing we do as we wrap up the show, we ask our woman of inspiration to leave our listeners with 3 golden nuggets. So what would be those 3 shiny golden nuggets that you would like to leave for our listeners?
A couple things. One is get your message out because it matters and you matter. That's important. Number 2, take care of yourself so that your message can continue, so that you can be at your most vibrant, vital self. So whatever that means, naps, walks. I take kitty hug breaks and go and pet my cats. I love that. And number 3, to have fun, enjoy life and smile and do what gives you pleasure. For me, it's travel, it's meeting new people, it's enjoying cultures, it's going out to eat, whatever it is. But enjoy it and enjoy life and live it to its fullest as much as possible every single day.
I love that. And so for our listeners, where could they find you, Jill?
You can go to JillLublin.com, lots of L's in there, so it's JillLublin as in Nancy, JillLublin.com. And also for Profit of Kindness, my newest book, go check out profitofkindness.com. And that'll take you right through to be able to purchase it and to take a look at some of the ways that kindness is impacting business and our world.
I love that. And do you run workshops as a result of your book?
I do. Well, I run publicity crash courses, and I run them as live webinars, so people can take them all over the world with me.
Oh, wonderful. So they can find that information on your website?
Yes, on JillLublin.com. You can also see more of it on publicitycrashcourse.com, and just let us know that you heard us on this podcast, and we will give you a wonderful, nice discount to come and get your message out in a practical way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jill, for your time and energy. It's been it's been filled with lots of juicy information, actually. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your Friday.
Thank you, Catherine, for having me.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed the show, as it is my mission to reach out and inspire as many individuals like you. And one of the best ways to help us achieve this goal is by giving us a good review on iTunes. It's easy and it only takes about 10 seconds. If you have any questions or special guests that you would like to hear from, please send us an email to support@catherineplano.com.au and we will get right back to you. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook @Catherine Plano. That's it for now. Thanks for listening. Until next week, please take care.